When Ferrari landed Lewis Hamilton, the entire racing world stood up. It wasn't just a team signing a legend, it was a seismic shift in Formula One. The seven-time champion, a man synonymous with Mercedes, was suddenly dressed in red. It felt mythical, almost like Jordan in a Wizards jersey, but with the hope that this time the magic would transfer. And yet, what followed was anything but legendary. Let's not sugarcoat it. Hamilton's first season with Ferrari has been rough. His recent 12th place finish in Hungary wasn't just a bad day, it was a flashing red light. The man who once made overtaking an art form now couldn't even pass a rookie in a racing Bulls car. That's not a knock on the rookie. It's a brutal reality for someone of Lewis's caliber. People expected struggles, sure, but this? Nobody saw it coming. After Hungary, Hamilton himself seemed to hit rock bottom. In a moment that echoed frustration louder than any team radio meltdown, he told Ferrari they should probably replace him. Let that sink in. The most successful driver in F1 history suggested he wasn't good enough, but was it really on him? According to Ferrari, no, or at least not entirely. For the first time, team principal Fred Vasseur publicly admitted that they, not Hamilton, are largely to blame. It was a stunning confession, but also one that makes a lot of sense when you break it down. Hamilton didn't just switch teams, he switched cultures. From McLaren to Mercedes, Lewis had spent 18 years in a cocoon of familiarity. English teams, Mercedes engines, predictable systems. Then boom, he gets dropped into Maranello, where everything from the coffee to the communication style is foreign. And Ferrari, in their words, stupidly expected he'd have everything under control. That kind of oversight is wild when you think about it. You bring in Lewis Hamilton, a guy whose driving style is deeply connected to the feel of the car, and then give him an environment he doesn't even speak the same language in, figuratively and sometimes literally. The expectation was that his greatness would just carry over, but he's not a journeyman driver like Carlos Sainz, who's made a career of jumping teams. Lewis had been in one rhythm for nearly 2 decades. Changing teams wasn't just a new chapter, it was a whole new book. And the car, the SF25, hasn't exactly been a dream machine. It's twitchy, inconsistent, and doesn't give Hamilton the kind of feedback he thrives on. While Charles Leclerc has managed to squeeze out better results, including a pole position in Hungary, even he admitted the car lacks consistency. That right there is Ferrari's Achilles heel. See, while McLaren and Red Bull have built machines that respond reliably across different circuits, Ferrari's car feels like a coin toss. One weekend it's flying in qualifying, the next it's disappearing in Q2. And that inconsistency bleeds into the race. Tire wear, downforce setup, engine modes, it's like whack-a-mole. Fix one issue, another pops up. But here's the kicker. Even with all these issues, Ferrari's partnership with Hamilton is still making bank. The team pulled in a €50 million, 0 cents, sponsorship boost just from his arrival, not to mention a tidal wave of merchandise sales. Hamilton, whether he's winning or not, is still Ferrari's golden goose, but you don't sign a legend just to sell shirts, you sign him to win. And so far, they've failed him more than he's failed them. Fred Vasseur didn't just blame the adjustment period or the driver swap, he pinpointed something deeper, a cultural gap. Not in the usual language or personality sense, but in the DNA of how the teams operate. Mercedes is built like a German tank, efficient, quiet, structured. Ferrari, on the other hand, is emotion, instinct, and chaos tied together by tradition. For a driver who's spent his life in the former, being thrown into the latter can feel like free fall. This isn't about Lewis not trying hard enough or Ferrari not wanting to win. It's about the brutal truth of Formula One. The tiniest cracks in cohesion ripple into seconds on track. When Hamilton's comfort zone got yanked away, so did his ability to find those last tenths of a second, the ones that separate champions from the midfield. He didn't just need to learn a new car, he needed to learn a new rhythm, a new team dynamic, a new way of feeling fast. For a while, there were glimmers of hope. Canada, Spain, Austria. Those weekends showed flashes of Hamilton beginning to find his feet. He wasn't winning, but he looked more like himself. The confidence in his voice returned, and the telemetry showed a driver who was starting to trust the car. But then Belgium and Hungary slammed the brakes on that momentum. Hungary hurt, not just because of the 12th place result, but because it exposed how fragile Ferrari's form really is. One weekend, they're toe-to-toe with McLaren in qualifying. The next, they're tripping over their own strategy and failing to make up positions against cars they should be beating in their sleep. That inconsistency is exactly what Vasseur believes is holding the team back from winning titles. He didn't shy away from naming names either. While praising McLaren for their steady hand, he acknowledged Ferrari's chaotic tendency to fluctuate weekend to weekend. According to him, McCoy's strength is simple. They're always there. Doesn't matter the weather, the tires, the track, they show up, put in the work, and extract every ounce of performance from their package. Ferrari, meanwhile, are still chasing shadows. That's why it doesn't matter how legendary your driver is if your garage can't deliver reliability, if your race prep is a mess, your compound strategy is off, or your car's setup changes by the hour, then Hamilton's skills are wasted. The SF25 may have potential, but potential doesn't win races, execution does. Ironically, despite the on-track woes, Ferrari's off-track gains have been enormous. The marketing machine surrounding Hamilton's move has paid off in ways no one could have imagined. HP dropped nearly €90 million, 0 cents, to become a title sponsor again. Merchandise sales have skyrocketed. Even casual fans, the kind who know F1 mostly through Drive to Survive, are now rocking Ferrari gear because Lewis made it cool. But the disconnect is jarring. This is a team cashing in like they just won the Constructors' Championship while dragging one of the sport's greatest drivers through a storm of mediocrity. It's like hosting a championship parade before winning a single trophy. Still, Vasseur isn't in denial. He knows the 2025 season is toast, Hamilton's too far behind in the points, and the car's too inconsistent to mount a late comeback. But he's betting on something else, that this pain is temporary, that the turbulence of this first season is part of the reset Ferrari desperately needs, not just to support Hamilton, but to finally rebuild the foundation they've been missing for nearly 2 decades. Hamilton wasn't brought in to fix Ferrari's past, he was brought in to rewrite their future. And that means 2026 isn't just another season, it's the season. A line in the sand kind of year, one where excuses won't fly, and financial impact won't be enough to keep critics quiet. If Ferrari can't deliver, then with one of the greatest drivers in F1 history already integrated, then the conversation shifts from what's wrong with the car to what's wrong with the team. That's the pressure Ferrari signed up for when they brought Lewis on board. Not just to benefit from his name, but to be held accountable by it. He's not a development driver, he's not a marketing tool, he's a measuring stick. And right now, the yardstick shows a 175-point gap to Oscar Piastri at the top of the standings. That's not just underperformance, that's exposure. Ferrari's leadership knows that consistency isn't something you hope for, it's something you build. Race by race, meeting by meeting, simulation by simulation, McLaren didn't become bulletproof overnight, they iterated until their system clicked. Ferrari's been trying to shortcut that process with bursts of brilliance and marquee signings, but brilliance fades fast when there's no backbone to support it. They've got one season left before the narrative around Hamilton's time in red becomes one of waste. And Vasseur knows that. You can feel it in how he's talking, less about silver linings, more about structure. Less about moments, more about models. He's no longer hiding behind the idea that Ferrari's issues are just bad luck or isolated strategy calls. He sees the pattern now. They're not losing races, they're losing systems. That's what makes 2026 a make or break year, not just for Hamilton, but for the entire Ferrari leadership, because there are no more surprises, no more underestimating transitions, no more pretending adaptation only takes a few races. They've had time, they've had talent, they've had money. If it doesn't click next season, it's not the driver, it's the DNA. And that brings us to the unspoken truth. Hamilton doesn't have forever. The man is 40 next year. His physical sharpness, still elite. His hunger, clearly intact. But no one escapes time. Every race that goes by without a competitive car is a wasted shot at that elusive 8th title. And there aren't many of those left. He didn't come to Ferrari to cruise to retirement. He came to ignite a legacy-defining final chapter. To pull off what Schumacher did, walk into Maranello, whip the chaos into order, and make history. That dream isn't dead, but it's getting impatient. The fans feel it too. There's still love, still belief, but there's also tension. Ferrari has become the ultimate almost team. Almost fast enough, almost ready, almost consistent. But this sport doesn't reward almost, it buries it. And if they don't get this next season right, the narrative hardens. That Lewis, the ultimate winner, got swallowed by the one team that forgot how to win. There's still time to flip the script. With the groundwork now laid, with the pain of failure fresh and loud, Ferrari has the rare chance to learn the right lessons at the right time. All they need to do is stop being surprised by their own flaws and start engineering solutions with the urgency they owe to their fans, their history, and their driver. Because if Ferrari really wants to rise again, it's not about bringing Hamilton back to greatness, it's about being worthy of him.